Lesson 3, Unit 7, Risk and Issue Management. What is the difference between a risk and an issue? A risk is a probability of an event that may have a negative impact in the project. An issue is an actual event, something that will create a negative impact on the project. The difference is that risk is based on probability, and we don't know for certain when it's going to happen. We might have an idea, a probability, that it may or may not happen. But an issue is something that is happening right now and you need to take immediate action. Risks are identified in the planning phase and include the identification of actions to eliminate or reduce the impact of the risk, actions that are executed in the implementation phase. The actions to deal with high risks have a high priority and focus mostly on avoiding the risk. Medium risk actions focus on mitigating the impact of the risk, which can be a change in the schedule. And for the low risk, the best option is to accept the risk because the cost of doing something to reduce the impact could be higher than the cost of the risk impact. For all the significant risk, you will need to communicate their status to key stakeholders. As the team implements the actions to avoid or reduce the impact of the risk, they will need to report on the progress they are making. You need to know if there are any issues or difficulties in implementing the actions. This might require changes to the project plans, especially to avoid a major risk. You might need to change the schedule to avoid a risk event. The risk status report is a tool that you can use during the implementation. Each risk is marked by how critical they are to the project, identifies the person or unit responsible for managing the actions to deal with the risk. There is a brief description of the risk event, a description of the type of response, and the status of the actions taken. This is information during the implementation phase that you will receive from the people who were assigned responsibilities to manage the risk. They need to inform you on the status of the activities they have implemented and if there are any issues that require your attention. When a risk occurs, it becomes an issue, and you need a different process to manage it. There is an interesting relationship between risk probability and risk impact during the life of the project. At the start of a project, the level of probability will be high, but later in the project, the level of probability goes down. Probability is high in the beginning because there is more time for events to happen than near the end. On the other side, the level of impact has a different shape. At the beginning, the impact to the project is low because there is not much work completed. Very little has been done, but at the end, there are a lot of costs that have been invested in the project. A lot of work has been completed, so the impact of a major risk can be significant to the project. That is why the curve will start to go up. Understanding this behavior is important when you're updating the risk log. The closer you get to the end of the project, the probability of a risk is going to be low, but the impact will be higher. Let's look at issue management. An issue is a present problem that, if not resolved, will impact a project's triple constraint of budget, schedule, and scope. An issue is something that is happening and is creating a problem to the project. An issue is a call for an immediate action to solve it. All issues need to be reported and documented through the process of issue management. The process uses the issue log that helps in the documentation, categorization, resolution, prioritization of the issues, assignment of responsibilities, and monitoring the issue. The process also includes the escalation process when there is a need for authorization from the donor or the organization's leadership. Finally, the process requires communications to all stakeholders affected by the issue. The issue log helps capture all the issues reported by the team. Each issue is assigned a number, the date the issue is reported, and a detailed description of the issue. The description will explain how the problem is impacting the project. Then, there is the assignment of a prioritization level, depending on the severity and impact of the project. The assignment of an owner who will fix the issue and a planned date for resolution. The log can include a brief description of the actions to solve the problem and a space to track the status of the issue and a space to add notes such as information when the issue is escalated to other units, managers, or supervisors. An important step in the issue log is to determine the prioritization levels, or the order to solve the issues. This will help you assign the right resources to solve the issue. All these issues need to be solved, but some are more important than others and require more resources. Another important element of the log is the identification of the right person to own and manage the resolution of the issue. Each issue needs to have an owner who will be responsible for implementing the actions recommended for solving the issue. The issue owner will do regular follow-ups to update the status. The status can use a simple list such as closed, open, or delayed. The notes help understand in more detail the status of an issue. Issue prioritization is a basic process where you set up your priority levels, depending on the impact of the constraints of scope, schedule, budget, and quality. In its most simple form, you can use colors to identify the levels of priorities. Red will be for the high priority or critical issues. These are the issues that have a high impact to the project, and you need to respond immediately. Yellow will be for medium priority issues. These are the issues you can schedule for later, issues that are not too urgent. Green is for issues with low priority. These are issues that can wait, and the resolution is based on the availability of resources. The use of a prioritization levels helps you make the best use of your limited resources. Assigning responsibilities. This is another important step of the issue log. Each issue needs an owner, a team member responsible for resolving the issues. That person must have the skills, resources, and time to complete these actions to solve the issue. The owner is also responsible for reporting on the status of the issue to the team and the project manager. The process to resolve issues is usually simple. You first need to identify and define the problem. Understanding the problem is the first step and is very important. It includes identification of all the possible causes of the issue. It answers this question: why are we having that problem? Then, the people who know how to solve the problem will develop solutions and then will select the best one to solve the issue. Then, they will develop a detailed description on how to solve the problem. Then, you will need to identify the resources and the support required. Finally, you need to define the date when you need to have this issue resolved. Here's a summary of the steps to solve a problem. Identify the problem, develop alternatives, select the best alternative, implement the actions, report the status to inform if the solutions work or not. If the solution did not work, then start the cycle again until the issue has been solved. Issue communication is another important element of issue management. You need to inform all people involved in the issue. High priority issues, you need to inform the steering committee, and you might include the donor or senior management. You can use the regular project status reports with a section that explains the status of critical issues. You also need to communicate when a critical issue has been closed to let everybody know that the problem was solved, and communicate when the issue has escalated and will require additional approval from senior managers or even the donor. Here are some recommendations on issue management. Review the issue log during the team meetings. This is the best opportunity, especially if you have weekly or bi-weekly meetings. The team will give an updated status on the issues. There is a person responsible for maintaining the issue log and keep track of all the information that is needed for updating the status. The team knows how to report issues and understands the purpose of the issue log. The issue log is accessible to all the team. There is also a clear process to escalate issues. When there is an issue that needs approval that is beyond the level of authority of the project manager, you should always try to keep the issue log up to date. It is going to be a reference to the team who's constantly looking at that information to keep track of the issues and even for some key stakeholders. And finally, you should communicate to all parties involved as soon as an issue is resolved.